to tell you about, Patrick, I'll pick you up in a minute here. I promised to tell you about this Rick Scott's new contract on America. This is astonishing. He's calling it the 11-point plan to rescue America. It's a 31-page manifesto, and here are some actual quotes from it. Just so you know, Brandon Gage pulled these all together and published them over on alternate.org. Number one, our kids will say the Pledge of Allegiance, salute the flag, learn that America is a great country, and choose the school that best fits them. We will inspire patriotism and stop teaching the revisionist history of the radical left. Our kids will learn about the wisdom of the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Founding Fathers. Public schools will focus on the 3 R's, not indoctrinate children with critical race theory or any other political ideology. Okay, so the small government conservative wants to take over our schools and make sure that they teach exactly what he wants taught. Number two, government will never again ask any American citizen to disclose their race, ethnicity, or skin color on any government forms. We are going to eliminate racial politics in America. Right. In other words, A, we're not going to be able to identify places where right-wingers or white people in general are actively suppressing the rights, economic rights, political rights of people of color, whether they be Native American, whether they be Hispanic, Asian, African American. No, we're no longer going to be concerned about that. It's just we're going to go back to the old days, good old days, 1955. White people in charge. End of discussion. Number three. The soft-on-crime days of coddling criminal behavior will end. We will refund and respect the police because they, not the criminals, are the good guys. We will enforce our laws. All right, well, let's start out by enforcing our laws against, all the various things that Donald Trump, all the laws that he broke. Number one. Number two, no Democrats are calling for the defunding the police. I know the Republicans love to promote this. The Republicans are all, hey, defund the police, yeah. But this is pathetic. Number four, we will secure our borders, finish building the wall, and name it after President Donald Trump. Right. We have a pretty effective border wall to our south. I realize that some people get through it, but we have to have there are large parts of it that are not places where people are passing through. B, the places where people are passing through, they're largely being captured. And C, we need to ask the question, I think it's far more important, why is this happening? What is going on in Central America that's causing people from Guatemala? By and large, it's not people from Mexico coming into the United States. It's people from Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, El Salvador. Why? Well, because of the political instability that we caused down there, number one. And number two, because climate change is ravaging some of their farms and creating massive poverty. Why don't we deal with the cause of this problem rather than the symptom of it? Number five, he says, we're going to grow America's economy, starve Washington's economy, and stop socialism, reduce the government workforce by 25%. Right. So no more national parks. Social Security is, instead of taking 2 years to sign up for Social Security disability, it's going to take 5 years. And if you got problems with your Medicare, it's going to take you months and months to get it dealt with. We could go on. I mean, this is bizarre. We will eliminate all federal programs that can be done locally and enact term limits for federal bureaucrats and Congress. Right, term limits. This is something billionaires, right-wing billionaires have been pushing forever. We need term limits. Well, we have term limits. They're called elections. But when you term limit politicians, what you do is you destroy the institutional infrastructure of political systems like state and federal legislatures. And the institutional structure that remains is the lobbyist structure, which, of course, Rick Scott, being an old hospital, guy, his company oversaw the biggest Medicare fraud in the history of America, would probably love, I guess. Number seven, we're going to protect the integrity of American democracy and stop left-wing efforts to rig elections. What he's talking about is things like, well, here in Oregon, we have 100% vote by mail. It works. It's convenient. There's no fraud. There's no crisis. We have one of the highest voter participation rates in the country. He doesn't want this. He says, we can't allow the radical left to destroy our democracy by institutionalizing dishonesty and fraud. In other words, letting people who are citizens vote. Number 8, we will protect, defend, and promote the American family at all costs. Well, what does that mean? Basically, he says that, well, he goes on, number 9, men are men, women are women, and unborn babies are babies. We believe in science because he created them. God created them. In fact, he's asserting God has a penis. He says modern technology has confirmed this. Facts are facts. Right. Number 10, Americans will be free to welcome God into all aspects of our lives. Yes, let's turn politics over to the preachers. That worked really well for Massachusetts in the late 1600s and early 1700s, didn't it? He goes on to say, they are determined to drive all mention of God out of public view. No, we're not. We just don't want people who claim to speak on behalf of God to be making our laws on behalf of God. He says, we will not be silenced, canceled, or told what words to use by the politically correct crowd. Right, you want to go back to slurring people and harass. I get it. Number 11, we are Americans, not globalists. America will be dependent on no other country. We will conduct no trade that takes away jobs or displaces American workers. Well, and he says, we will be energy independent. If it wasn't that he was talking about fossil fuels, I would say, okay, maybe you've got a point there. And this is probably the one thing that they're saying, let's bring our jobs home, that people have been saying across the spectrum ever since Ronald Reagan and George Herbert Walker Bush negotiated NAFTA and the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade that led to the World Trade Organization that in aggregate led to over 60 million factories going overseas. It's the one item out of his 11 points where Rick Scott may find some agreement, but he's not the first to say this. He's coming along and saying, oh, I'm a great original thinker. Come on, give me a break. Yes, it's the end of the era of neoliberalism.